The journey begins at the narrow gate. The journey, Jesus beckons me to roam. The journey, where the path is straight. The journey takes me home. The journey takes me home.
Welcome here to the journey. Glad you could join us today. We're always glad when you can join us, whether you're joining us from home or on your phone somewhere or wherever you are. Glad you're with us here on the journey. I just do want to take a minute to say something about our theme song, The Journey, to let you know that the theme song was written by one of our own. So Dan Washburn wrote that theme song. Many of you were wondering, and God gave that to him. It's a wonderful song. So thank you, Dan, for doing that. Well, in the studio this morning, I have with me a wonderful lady, someone you know as Sabra, but I always call Sabra. Welcome here, Sabra.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is my pleasure that you're here. You've already got me laughing, so you're great at that. So, Sabra, I enjoyed our time as we got together to talk about your journey beforehand, and so I know that people are going to be blessed by it. So, why don't you just, oh yeah. So, start us off.
Okay.
Talk about your journey.
Well, I was born April 12th, 1938 in Connersville, Indiana, to Harold and Mildred Lyons, and a year later they had my sister. It was, when I look back now, it wasn't a bad childhood, but it wasn't like anybody else's because my dad, we never knew when he was going to be around, really, because he drank and spent money, so we were pretty poor, you know. So it was rough growing up. I wore clothes that didn't fit or weren't appropriate for a child, you know. They were for older people, and I can remember having a suit one time that just was really ugly.
Oh, really?
It was ugly. And it was like for a woman that was probably about 50.
Oh, but there you were.
But there I was, yeah. So we wore a lot of hand-me-downs, my sister and I. So. And my mom tried. She really did. I love my mom. Wouldn't have traded her for anything. She was really the stable person in my life, you know. So we used to, my grandmother was big in the Presbyterian church there in Indiana, in Connersville, and I was baptized there. We went to Sunday school there, and like I told you, my sister and I would go so Grandma would give us a quarter so we could go to the show the next week on Saturday. But we went to Sunday school and went to church, and I was confirmed there on Easter when I turned 12.
Right.
I was confirmed, taken in as a member of the church, and then my dad's parents lived out in Auburn, Washington, and so he came out to see him when I was 13, and didn't come back. He wanted us to move out there, so he sent Mom the money, and Mom packed up everything, and we moved out to Auburn.
Wow.
And was in school there and was going to church some, not every Sunday because we lived up on the hill.
You lived with your grandparents, is that correct?
Yeah, and they bought a house up on Cemetery Hill, so we lived up there with them. We had the upstairs. Jackie and I had a room, and Mom and Dad had a room. And so I was going to church some, but not every Sunday because it was hard. Mom was working at Boeing then, and she'd be tired, you know, so she would go take us when she felt like it. She wasn't going then. And then Dad got offered a job in Issaquah, so we moved to Issaquah, And then I stopped church altogether when I moved to Issaquah.
That's about 2 years later. You're about
Yeah.
15 at this
Yeah.
time, yeah.
Yeah. And went to school in Issaquah. Knew things weren't right. I met my ex-husband when I was a...
I'm going to back you up just
Okay,
a
I'm
second. 'Cause
sorry.
no, you don't have to be sorry. You're great. I just noticed, we had talked about that you didn't go to church because there was no Presbyterian church.
That's right. I thought I could only go to the Presbyterian church.
Right.
I think, how strange was that, you know?
I know.
But that was really ingrained in me, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll back up a little because I remember one time I went to Catholic youth meeting in the evening, the CYO, I think it was called or something, with a friend from school, and I was just really enamored with it, you know. And so I come home and told my mom I want to be a Catholic, and I thought my mom was going to have a heart attack.
Because that'd be like turning your back on the family.
That's
sort of
right,
thing, yeah.
because we were all, my grandmother had her own pew in the church in
Oh,
Indiana.
wow.
And there was huge stained glass windows that she had put in to her husband and had passed away, so his name was on him, you know. So I mean, she was just.
Yeah.
Should I tell about the choir?
I like that. Yes, I think you should. I think
Okay.
it's wonderful.
I love to sing and I love music, and I wished music loved me. I can sing about 3 different notes, and so my grandmother must have noticed that I was really tone deaf. And so she got me into the choir at church, and every Sunday we'd march down the aisle in our robes singing "Holy, Holy, Holy." And we get up there, and that choir leader scared the dickens out of me. She not only was a choir leader, choir director, she played the organ too. So she's up there playing the organ, going, what?
Bobbing around.
Bobbing around like oh my goodness. So she really scared me. So it didn't help.
You still couldn't sing more than 3
Still
notes.
sing, no.
So maybe you won't be in our worship team.
No, that's right. As much as I love to, and I sing at home. I sang to Randy when she was a brand new baby, and she just would laugh at me.
Oh yeah. That's funny.
It was. So anyhow, there wasn't no Presbyterian church, so I just quit church altogether.
Right.
And then I met my ex-husband, and we were engaged my whole last year of school, my senior year. I was living, my dad had left, he'd gone for the last time. And we didn't know where he was at. He sent the key for the car and the parking stuff so Mom could go in to see Al and pick it up.
Wow.
And we couldn't find him, you know. So, and then Mom found out that he had taken money. He was treasurer of the Eagles, and he had taken money from them to gamble with, because he loved to gamble. He loved to drink, and he loved the women. You know? So it was a bad combination, it really was. So anyhow, Mom had to move. She moved down to Renton, and so I didn't want to change because it was my senior year. I wanted to graduate with my friends. So I was staying at Bob's parents' house with his sisters, and Bob was already out of the house. Really, he was working up North Bend in the woods. So I can't even remember what I got aggravated about now, but I just packed my stuff and went to Mom's and started school in Renton.
Wow.
I graduated from Renton.
Wow, that must have been something for you to do that. Oh.
I probably felt like they were trying to tell me to do something I didn't want to do.
Probably. Well, you know your mind.
Yeah.
So. Mm-hmm.
So then I got married the week after I graduated from high school.
You were 18.
I was 18, and we got married in the Presbyterian church there in Renton.
Oh, of course, yes.
But that was the first and only time Bob was ever in the church. He didn't go, and I wanted to get the kids, when Randy was born, I wanted to have her baptized, and he wouldn't do it. Didn't want it done. So I was still so naive, and felt like I had
Randy
to,
was your first daughter.
yeah, and it felt like I had to do what he said, you know. So So anyhow, 2 years later, we had a boy, Bob. And then about 2 years later, we had another little girl, Sandy. And I tried to leaving once before that.
Yeah.
And he choked me. And I thought, well, I don't want to do that again. It scared me, so I stuck it out till we was married a little over 14 years, I think. And I met a gentleman, and he said he would help me. And so I left with him.
So that was, well, you were married for 14 years.
Yeah.
And divorced. So you're about 33, 34
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
About
You
34, I think.
34, okay. And so you had made a comment to me that you got so you hated that man.
I could not stand him. I hated him so bad that it was just, it was affecting everything, you know? I mean, I couldn't stand him. If I thought he was going to touch me, I would just start cringing.
Yeah.
I didn't want him around me.
Wow.
And so when this opportunity came up, I took it. I grabbed it just as fast as I could.
Right.
Looking back now, I'd have done things different, but hindsight, you know, it's just so.
Yeah.
So anyhow, and then our relationship was an off and on relationship. And then I got pregnant with Chris, and he was thrilled at first, and then the more I showed, the less thrilled he became till I was about 6 months along, and I didn't hear from him anymore. And then he knew when Chris was going to be born, so about 3 weeks after Chris was born, he called me. He said, I want to see you and the baby. And I thought, well, maybe he's still. And all the time, there's no church in this, you know.
Right.
So I thought, well, maybe he still wants to be. And so I went, and we kind of got back together, but it was just the same trap all over again, you know. So he called one Sunday and said hello, and I said goodbye. I never talked to him again, and I told a friend of mine that he said, John still wants to see you. And I said, no, he can see Chris as much as he wants to, but not me. I'm not getting caught in that trap again.
Right, you've done that once before.
Done that once before. So Mom kept trying to get, my mom had moved to Texas, kept trying to get me to come down there. She said, well, how do you get started again? And so I packed up Sandy. My oldest daughter was married by then. Bob's dad signed for him to go into the service. So I had Sandy and Chris, and we went to Texas.
And you were 37.
Yeah.
Chris was 2 years old,
Yeah.
and Sandy was about 14.
Yeah.
And what's your spiritual life like at this time?
There is none.
There is.
No. Zilch.
Yeah.
You know, just, you think about God once in a while, but that's about as far as it goes, you know.
Right.
So we got down to Texas and moved into a house, and I started working out at Wicks Lumber. I'd been there about a year, you know, and the girls that Randy's husband was in the Navy, so she came, and Sandy had gone back home. She didn't like it down there at all.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so she went back to be with her dad. She was going to stay with her dad. So the girls came and brought my oldest grandson and stayed with us for the 6 months that Robert was out to sea.
Oh, wow.
You know, and Sandy said she'd go to school, and she lied. She didn't. I ended up sending her back too.
Oh.
But anyhow, they kept saying, "We want you to get married again, Mom. We want you to get married." And I said, "No, I don't want to get married again.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to be held responsible for anybody else, and I don't want anybody else to be responsible for me." They kept saying, "Well, surely there's somebody," and I kept saying, "No, there's not. There's this one guy out there, and he comes up to the check stand." And by this time, I'm learning the lumber business, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
Comes up to the check stand, and he says these silly things to me. You're really dumb. And wouldn't you know, it was Leon.
That's funny.
And I ended up marrying him, yeah. We
Wow.
started going out, and we met, well, we had talked before at the work, but my girlfriend and I had gone out one night to this dance place, and we were dancing, and he was there with his brother and sister-in-law and his cousin, and he asked me to dance, and that was the start of it.
Wow.
And honestly, I tried to get him to just live with me, you know. I didn't really want to get married,
Right.
and he wouldn't do it.
Wow.
There's still no church, still nothing. Chris is getting older, he's in school.
Okay. You're about 39.
39, 40,
40, yeah, okay.
In there. Chris is in school, and Scouts have their big not jamboree, but their big, where they get everybody to come, you know, and they're going to sign them up for Scouts.
Oh, yeah.
So we went, Chris wanted to join Scouts. I said, okay, well, in order for him to get in, we had to start a new pack, and so I became a pack leader, Scout leader. I was at my little troop there. And that was a lot of fun, it really was. Went to Scout camp. In the meantime, there was a bus that came by. They had a bus ministry at the church about 3 blocks up the road from us. And they stopped one time and asked if we had any children. I said, yeah, we had one. They said, well, would you like to go to church? So I asked Chris, I said, you want to go to church? He said, yes. So they stopped the next Sunday and picked him up, took him up there, and I let him go about 3 weeks, and then I went.
Right.
And I never felt so sorry for anybody in my life.
Really?
The guy that was leading the children's church, he had no control. Those kids were jumping and hopping over chairs, screaming and yelling, and there's Chris in a suit yet.
Oh, wow.
Well, it was a sports jacket inside,
Yeah.
because that's the way we used to dress kids.
Right.
So he was sitting there, and he was just drinking it all in, and so I got talking to my neighbor across the street. She was in the Scouts too, and I told her, and she said, well, that I wasn't happy with where Chris was going to church at. So she said, well, come up to Kingswood, and it was just right around the corner from us.
Oh.
They were the one that sponsored the Scout troop.
Okay.
So we went up, and it was home.
Wow.
And it really was. I just felt like I walked into to my home. It was, the people were so nice, and and I was smoking, you know, so I know they could smell it on me, and never any condemnation or anything, you know, about saying, ooh, you smoke or anything, you know. And they were just really wonderful. Earl Blair was the pastor, and he called Chris Old Chris. Old Chris, yeah. And he had good sermons. He had sermons for the kids, and Chris just really got involved. We kept getting older, and then I got involved. I got into Sunday school, and I started doing Bible studies. And this time when I got into Sunday school, Leon would not always come to church because he didn't want to do Sunday school.
Sure.
So he wouldn't always come to church. So Chris is getting older and older. Now he's in the youth group.
Okay.
And the youth leader said, Chris, I'm going to sponsor you for a chrysalis. So Chris went on a chrysalis. And he come back and he said, Mom, you got to do it. And
What
said,
is that? So people
Oh,
know.
I'm sorry, it's through the Emmaus group. It's for the young people.
Right.
And the chrysalis is, you know, the butterflies.
Yes.
They're in the chrysalis, and then 3 days later, they're butterflies. So it's really...
So it's like a walk to Emmaus
Yeah,
for
it
you.
is. Yeah, it is. Just exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then we've been on mission trips. Went to New Mexico, to Four Corners, where the Navajo Reservation was. And we had sponsored a church up there. Our church did, and we helped them with a thrift store. So we went out, and the kids worked on Sunday school rooms and taught Bible school.
Wow.
And Chris, one night, and we stayed in a trailer that wasn't even finished. They were finishing it for Indians that had alcohol problems.
Okay.
So that was going to be for them. So we all stayed in there. And one night, Indian was out there, and the kids stayed out there. They must have talked to him, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
he was in a ditch. He was so drunk he'd fallen into the ditch, and the kids were out there really ministering to him. And that's when Chris felt the call.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what
Call to ministry,
yeah.
pastoral ministry, yeah.
Yeah, that's not exactly what I said. I was really surprised. It worried me because really, all in all, Chris had been kind of sheltered, you know. And even through high school, he never dated.
Oh, wow.
He didn't date till he got to college. And when he hit college, he went wild.
Oh, well, that's all too common, I think.
Yeah, and well, he had all these scholarships to pay for college, and so he lost one of them. So he worked at a place that has the trailers you can rent.
U-Haul?
U-Haul.
Okay.
He worked there during the summer, and so we made him take his money, and he had to pay for that semester. But he lost. But anyhow,
wow.
I'm getting off track.
That's okay.
So Chris was in college, graduated college, and in 1997, I finally committed to going on a walk. And I said, the only reason why I hadn't before is because I was smoking, and I didn't think I could go and be smoking. There was something that just stopped me. Well, in March that year, I quit smoking. And in September, I went on my walk.
And that changed your life?
That changed my life.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
It was the most amazing thing I have ever been on. People say, well, it's a cult. Well, it's not a cult.
Right.
Things that happen to you are so personable,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And I learned God really did love me,
Yeah.
warts and all.
Yeah.
I was his child,
Right.
you know, and it was just such an awakening. Well, it kind of started before that a little bit because I keep getting off track.
No, you're not. You're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Okay. Tom Mills had come, Pastor Earl Blair had left and gone to Canyon to a church down there. Tom Mills had come. And he's the one I said, you remind me so much of him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just, well, he had really sermons and he preached the word. You know, he was a Bible preacher.
Yeah.
You know, he was just so good. And he had a sermon on forgiveness. Oh, dear. That hit me like a ton of bricks because I had been making life miserable for Leon and for myself too. You know, all because I couldn't forgive. I couldn't forgive my dad, and I was taking everything out on him. I made his life hell, you know, for about 6 months. I mean, it was just, I'm surprised he stuck it out. I don't know if I would have. So he had the sermon on forgiveness, so I went home and talked to Leon and asked him to forgive me.
Wow.
And I explained why, and then I talked to my mom and told her I really had forgiven my dad that the hate I'd harbored all those years. Up to that time, I was letting go, getting rid of it. So
That's pretty huge.
it was, but it was so freeing,
Yes.
you know. And then the peace started to settle in bit by bit. And after my Emmaus walk, there was more peace, yeah. Why did I put on mascara?
So you could take it off?
Yeah. Then Leon and I were married, I guess. Well, 11 years ago, no, 9 years ago, we moved up here from Texas. Leon had lost his sister and lost his mother and his brother. And when his brother went, he said that was it. He was ready to come up here. And the girls have been trying to get us up here because they knew my health wasn't the best. And they wanted me up here where it was closer. So my daughter bought, her and her husband bought the house that we're in. And
Can I take you back?
you shook hand.
I wanted to ask a little bit more about, because you said it was in In March 1997, when
Yes.
you received Christ.
Yeah. No, September.
Oh, September.
September. March
Okay.
is when I quit smoking.
Oh, that's right.
When I signed up,
Okay.
and so it just, and then I worked a bunch of walks, you know.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just,
Well, it
was,
changed your life. So
yeah,
you
it
wanted
did,
to
and I
change
wanted
other
to
people's.
give back, you know, and
Yeah.
it was so awesome to go
Yeah.
and watch people accept Christ, even people that already knew Him.
Yeah.
You know, you have such a deeper relationship that
Yeah.
you just, so it was just, it really was, it was great.
And you had an encounter, if I recall this correctly anyway, where somebody had said, "Oh, it's so easy to be a Christian,"
Yes,
and you said,
Yes. I said it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life
"Yeah,
because I have to fight all those tendencies, you know.
right,
It's easy to go out and party and drink and smoke, you know. That was easy. I thought I was having a good time too,
sure,
you know.
sure.
I mean, what the heck? I'm free, white, and 21. I can do what I want.
Right,
I was a little older than that, but
yeah."
but
It struck me as quite a statement when you said it was the hardest work you had to do in your life.
yeah, it is. It's an everyday thing too.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to keep at it. You can get out of going to church. You know, once you stop going, then it's hard to get back in. Well, it's the same way with anything else. You know, it's just
Right.
you cannot. You have to work at it every day.
Yeah.
I read my Bible. Like I told you, I don't always get everything out of it. I need to
Sure.
every day, but I read it every day, and I read that little booklet we have
Daily
at church.
bread.
At church, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really good too. They have some good stories in there.
Well, the Christian life is so countercultural that
It
when
is.
you've been living in the culture for, in your case, you were in your, oh golly, yeah. I mean, you'd been living that way for such a long. It was
Yeah,
normal, and
yeah.
then to receive Christ and realize, wait a minute, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard work of following Christ.
But it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's such a peace inside your life, or it is mine, you know, because even though I have to fight some of those tendencies not to smoke, I never respect smoking, but like, I would like to go out and dance, you know, but I know that's not going to work for me.
Just because of where it takes you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, so you're married to Leon. You've received Christ. You get very involved in the church.
Get
Don't you?
very involved in the church. Taught Sunday school, worked the nursery, taught Bible school, worked Bible school. Belonged to the women's group there at church.
Looks like you need another one. That one's used up.
It was. I just really enjoyed it. I got involved in missions with the missions committee, and because I really like missions, and I've been to Juarez three times, I think, and I've been to the Navajo Reservation twice, and then I went to San Marcos once.
Yeah.
So this was with the youth. I didn't start out going to San Marcos because Chris said to me, "You have to go every place I go." So
In other words, Mom, please don't come
yeah,
with me.
please just let me go. So, and it was hard. Gosh, hard letting go. I was hanging on to that kid for dear life
Yeah.
because he was my baby.
Yeah.
So Chris had surgery on his stomach because of an abscess on his liver from a bacteria from a tooth that he'd had extracted and gotten it, and so he had surgery. So this was just right before his senior year in college or school.
Okay.
It was the last part of his junior year, and so he went to San Marcos, and he'd been already down to Abilene to visit McMurray, and he went to another college, I think, too, all in the space of about 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And so he wasn't eating right. So he got down to San Marcos, he got sick, really sick, and they said it was adhesions in there from his surgery. It caused a valve blockage. So when I saw him, he was in bed with a tube down his throat, you know.
Oh my goodness, not the way a mother wants to see her son.
No, so that's how I ended up in San Marcos.
Okay, wow. So we'll move ahead now.
Okay, move ahead.
Where you were. You're in your early 60s, and you moved here in 2011.
Yes.
And there were a couple of things that were going on that really you guys said, okay, it's time to move.
Yeah, Leon had lost his mother and his brother, and my mom had died just before Chris got married to Amy, and so that had been about probably about 10 years, I guess, before we moved up here. So
2011 was you moved
so
up
we
here.
so we came up in January, sold the house, and called ABF, and they came, brought a trailer, packed everything into that we were going to take. Chris drove us up here.
Oh.
Because I didn't want to bring Leon to look for.
Do we need to edit this part?
Probably. Oh, he's okay. So I just felt better having Chris come along too.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
the three of us.
Yeah.
So he drove us up here in our car, and oh, that's a stupid text message. And we got up here and went over to see the house. Oh, I just fell in love with that house.
Ah, good.
It was just really something. Randy, for Christmas, Randy had sent us the garage door opener in the package.
Oh, that's great.
It was, because we hadn't even sold the house yet.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't sell till the next day. And then we had to be out of our house by the 1st of January.
Oh, wow.
And that was at Christmas time, you
Oh,
know.
my goodness, that's not a lot of time.
No, it wasn't. So Leon got a couple of friends to have him load up all his tools and stuff and load that trailer up. So then we got up here and started looking for a church, and we went to Belfair First to the Methodist Church, and was not comfortable there. So then we went down to Shelton to the Methodist Church, and I thought those people had to be crazy. They got up during the middle of the service and had snacks.
Yeah. Oh,
I've never seen that before.
boy, we were planning on that. I guess not. No.
It was really an eye-opener, but no, neither one of us were just very comfortable there. And so they had they brought the flowers around on Palm Sunday, and from the church, and they put one on our porch. And we'd seen the sign out on the road, you know, and I said, well, maybe we ought to try that church. And they had the tent up.
Okay.
So we came down Easter Sunday to the tent, and been coming ever since. Well, not real steady at first. It took us a couple times. Michael Moore called us, and she said, hello, my name is Michael. And I thought, you don't sound like a man. She said, I just wanted to welcome you. And I said, well, how do you get to your church? She said, well, we're at the firehouse, and she told us how to get to the fire hall. And so then we started coming and came ever since. First person I met there was Helen Sims and her husband, Bill. She said, now don't listen to Bill because he swears.
Okay.
He was pretty funny. He really was. She was such a sweet lady. And then I met Michael, and then gradually more and more.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. And here we are.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Terry was good. The interim pastors were good. But I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
You seem to complete the circle. You know, it's just been, and I know you still have to grow. can never stop growing. But there's such a peace in my life now, and I love your sermons.
Oh, thank you.
I like Dan's music. I wish I sang better.
Well, I'm sure he can teach you that fifth note.
I wouldn't want to bet on it anymore.
Is there anything that that hasn't been said, or you haven't, or you want to say a bit more about it? Something that God has shown you, or shaped you with, or just done in your life that you want to share with us.
Is there anything else I want to say? Just that I wish I could have convinced my children that there is a God and He does love. My oldest grandson is a member of a church in Marysville, where he lives up there. His wife, and she got him into church. She said church and he really likes it.
Good.
And he's getting more involved too. Yeah. And then, of course, there's Chris and Bob. My Bob is
still in need of prayer.
Yeah. And he's doing a lot better, but he knows God. Yeah. That's what blows my mind. And he'll go to church. He likes the Lutheran church there in Ballard.
Okay.
He's been going there. He said they're really nice, and he really likes them.
You made a comment to me about forgiveness. Do you remember that? I'll read it to you. You said, the day I started forgiving was the day my heart started cracking a little.
That's right. It really did.
Yeah.
Made all the difference in the world. It's just like, it wasn't this great big, I am here for you, it was such a gentle, but it was an awakening, really.
Yeah.
And then my heart started.
That's really quite amazing to begin to understand forgiveness and then receive Christ's forgiveness. Yeah. And I love what you say about the peace, especially when you contrast it to how much you hated. I know it. And
it just, I did. I just, mercy, I had such hate in me. There just was a blackness.
Yeah. Which, and I've said this to you before, but I want to say it again, that if I can.
You'll have me do it.
Yeah, it's just when I look into your eyes, I see peace. I see this gentle peace. And that's amazing to me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are so awesome.
Oh,
I know I call you Tom half the time.
Well, that's okay. I'm not sure how to take that, but I'm going to take that well.
Yes.
But to me, just to know more of your journey.
I listen to people right now. They're struggling with this virus thing, and they're bothered. It bothers them to be can't do anything or going like. And I could care less.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me at all. I like going, and I go with Leon when we get groceries. I sit in the car.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go in. So it really, I guess it's such a comfort.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it.
Well, there's that peace that's unexplainable. It passes understanding.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, your journey with Christ, your salvation in Christ, has it been worth it?
Oh, yes. I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Yes.
I think I'd start younger, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think I think I've missed a lot, you know, but I've had a lot too, and I've done a lot, you know, since. And leading the women's group, you know, when you asked me that, I thought, well, no, he needs somebody younger to do that. He needs somebody that at least knows what they're doing, but I have enjoyed it so much. It's just been such a wonderful experience, and I'm hoping we can get back together in September.
I hope so, yeah. Well, we needed someone spirit-filled, and you are filled with Christ's Spirit. And that's a marvelous thing. Did you want to read scripture? Or?
I meant to bring it, and I didn't. That's all right. I know the first is Psalms 23, is the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, and that is true.
Yeah.
That's just exactly the way I feel. He's right there. I don't want for anything. We don't have much. We're living on Social Security. We didn't get a stimulus check. And I said I didn't care.
Yeah.
For one reason, because they take us off their income tax, my daughter, her husband. So we're dependents. And I said I would rather be a dependent than for all the money in the world. I'll take it. Well,
Sabra, thank you.
thank you.
Glad that God has connected you on my journey, you with me on my journey. I'm glad
Listen, it's been thrilling to have you here.
Thanks.
And I'm glad this is over with.
Now we can get back to fun, huh?
Right.
Well, I think this has been kind of fun, but I'm more used to it than you are.
Yeah. No, it's not been bad at all. I hope it was all right, Dan.
Well, let's just close it out. And
Okay.
yeah, I just want to say thank you to those who are listening, who tuned in, watching rather. It's always our prayer that something that we've said, that God has said through us, would really touch you, and He would speak through us, and that your journey would continue to develop and move on as you join in our journey. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can I pray and close this?
I betcha.
Unless you want to pray.
No, it's okay.
I figured. Okay. Let's pray. God in heaven, I thank you for Sabra. Thank you for just watching over her whole life, even the times she didn't know.
Yes.
And thank you for that day in which your journey became her journey. And thank you that she has walked with you ever since. Thank you, O God, for her love for you. Thank you for the peace that you have given her that really does pass all understanding. And Jesus, I pray that you would continue to watch over her and protect her and Leon, and continue to be at work in her life. Continue to use her as she leads the women's group, as she's involved in prayer and Bible study and all that she does. God, continue to build and expand your kingdom through your people as we are in journey with you. We thank you and we praise you in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you again for joining us. Have a great day.
The journey begins at the narrow gate. The journey, Jesus beckons me to roam. The journey, where the path is straight. The journey takes me home. The journey